The ship was cold, had never felt cold like this before. It was not the cold of winter on Earth. It was something empty, something dead. The metal floor pressed against her bare feet as the guards dragged her through the long hallway. She did not scream, she did not cry, she just watched. The guards were tall, much taller than any human. Their skin was pale blue and their eyes were like black glass. They called themselves. They were the rulers of this part of the galaxy, and they believed humans were nothing, just small creatures from a small planet, weak, stupid, easy to control. One of the guards looked down at her and laughed. His voice was deep and rough. "Another Earthborn," he said. "They always look so scared." Was not scared. She was angry, but she kept her face empty. She had learned long ago that showing your feelings to your enemy was a mistake. They brought her to a large room with bright white lights. A tall sat behind a metal desk. He wore a black uniform with silver marks on his chest. His name was Warden. He ran this place. Detention Block 7, the worst prison in the Galactic Union. Looked at a screen in front of him. He read, 19 years old, taken from Earth during Integration Sweep 47. He looked up at her with those black eyes. "Do you know why you are here?" Said nothing. Smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You are here because your species does not understand its place. You fight, you resist, you think you are special." He stood up and walked around the desk. He was so tall that had to look up to see his face. "But you are not special. You are insects, and this place will teach you that." He waved his hand and another guard came forward. This one held a small box. Inside were things. A photograph of her grandmother, a small book filled with her drawings, and a silver ring that her mother had given her on her 16th birthday. Picked up the photograph and looked at it. "What is this? Another human." He dropped it on the floor, then he stepped on it. The glass broke under his foot. His hands turned into fists, but she did not move. Picked up the ring next. "Pretty," he said. Then he threw it into a trash container. "You will not need these things anymore. You are no longer human. You are prisoner 71147. That is your name now." The guards took her down another hallway. This one was darker, the lights flickered. The walls were old and dirty. She could hear sounds coming from behind the doors, crying, screaming, silence. They stopped at a door marked 7C. One of the guards pressed a button, and the door slid open. Then they pushed her inside. The room was small. There were 4 beds made of hard metal, a small toilet in the corner, no windows, no light except for one dim lamp on the ceiling. 3 people were already inside. They all looked at her. The first was a young man. He looked maybe 24 or 25 years old. He had dark hair and tired eyes. He sat on one of the beds with his arms crossed. He did not smile. The second was a young girl. She was small and thin, maybe 14 years old. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. The third was an older man. He had gray hair and a lined face. He sat straight and still like a soldier. The young man spoke first. "New one," he said. His voice was flat. "How long have you been in the system?" Looked at him. "They took me 3 days ago." The man laughed, but there was no happiness in it. 3 days, you still have hope then." He shook his head. "That will go away soon." The older man stood up. He walked to and held out his hand. "My name is," he said. "This angry young man is, and this is," he pointed to the young girl. Shook his hand, his grip was strong. "I am." Nodded. "Welcome to Block 7, see the place where they put humans who will not break." He smiled a little. "Or at least, humans who have not broken yet." Came forward. She was so small, so young. "Are you scared?" she asked. Looked at her. "No," she said. "Are you?" Nodded. "Every day." Stood up from his bed. "Listen to me," he said. "I have been here for 2 years in this hole. I have seen what they do to people who fight back. They break them, they erase them, they turn them into empty shells." He stepped closer to. "So do not be a hero, do not resist, just keep your head down and survive. That is the only way." looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked around the room. She looked at the door. She looked at the walls. She looked at the small vent in the ceiling. "How many guards on this level?" she asked. "Blink to watch." "How many guards? What are their patrol times? Where are the cameras?" His eyes changed. He looked at her differently now, like he was seeing something new. Shook his head. "It does not matter. There is no way out. The doors are locked with biometric seals. The station is in orbit around a dying star. Even if you got out of this cell, you would die in space." Sat down on the empty bed. The metal was hard and cold, but she did not care. "They took everything from me," she said quietly. "My picture, my ring, my name." She looked up at them. "But they made a mistake. They think because we are small, we are weak. They think because we are human, we are nothing." She lay down on the bed and closed her eyes. "They have never studied Earth's history," she whispered. "They do not know what we have survived. Ice ages, plagues, wars, extinction events, and we are still here." She opened her eyes and looked at the ceiling. "If they knew what humans are really capable of, they would not have put us all in the same room." That night, while the others slept, stayed awake, she listened to the sounds of the station, the hum of machines, the footsteps of guards, the click of doors opening and closing. She counted everything, every sound, every second, every pattern. And in the darkness of her cell, began to plan. Days passed, then weeks. The routine was always the same. Every morning, the guards came. They took the prisoners to a large room called the integration chamber. It was white and bright and cold. Hundreds of humans sat on metal benches while officers stood at the front and talked. They called it education, but it was not education, it was something else. "You are lesser beings," the officer would say. "Your planet is small, your history is short, your bodies are weak, but the Galactic Union is kind. We will teach you, we will make you better. You will learn your place and you will be grateful." Then they made the prisoners repeat words, loyalty oaths, promises to serve the Union, promises to forget Earth, promises to accept that humans were nothing. Most of the prisoners said the words. They had no choice. If you refused, the guards would take you away, and the people who went away never came back the same. Said the words too. She said them clearly and loudly. She bowed when they told her to bow. She kept her eyes down when they told her to look down. The guards began to like her. They called her the obedient one. They laughed about how easy she was to control. But they did not see what she was really doing. Every day watched. She watched the guards, she watched the doors, she watched the machines. She noticed things that others did not notice. The control panels on the walls had small lights that changed color, sometimes blue, sometimes green, sometimes red. At first she did not understand what they meant, but after 2 weeks she saw the pattern. The lights changed when the guards walked past. They changed based on how the guards were feeling. Blue when they were calm, green when they were happy, red when they were angry. The technology was connected to emotions. This was strange too. They never showed emotions. They thought feelings were weakness. They kept their faces empty and their voices flat, but their machines read emotions anyway. She thought about this for many nights, and then she understood. They had built machines that detected emotions because they were afraid of them. They wanted to control feelings, to watch them, to stop them before they became dangerous. But humans were different. Humans felt everything: happiness, sadness, anger, love, hope, fear. Human emotions were big and wild and powerful. What would happen if she used that? One night gathered the others, and sat around her in the darkness of their cell. She spoke in a whisper. "I need to tell you something," she said. "I have been watching the machines here. They run on emotional frequency. They react to what we feel." Frowned. "What do you mean?" "They do not feel things the way we do," explained. "They suppress their emotions. They think feelings are primitive, but their technology is designed to detect and respond to emotional states." leaned forward, and humans have strong emotions. Nodded. Exactly. They never thought about what would happen if someone with powerful emotions touched their systems. They never imagined that feelings could be used as a weapon. His eyes were wide. Can you really do that? I do not know yet, said, but I am going to find out. The next day waited for her chance. During the evening meal, she stayed behind when the others left. She told the guard she felt sick. He looked at her with disgust and told her to wait by the wall. When he turned away, walked to a small control panel near the door. Her heart was beating fast. She could feel sweat on her hands, but she made herself calm. Then she thought about her grandmother. She thought about the photograph that Warden had broken. She thought about her mother's ring thrown away like garbage. She thought about Earth, her home, the sky, the trees, the ocean. And she let herself feel angry. Not a small anger, not a quiet anger. She let herself feel the full weight of everything they had taken from her, every moment of pain, every moment of loss, every moment of being treated like nothing. The anger burned inside her like fire. She put her hand on the panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the light on the panel flickered. It went from blue to yellow to red. The screen glitched. Strange symbols appeared and disappeared. Pulled her hand back. Her heart was racing. It had worked. That night, she told the others. The machines can feel what we feel, she said, and they do not know how to handle it. Human emotions are too strong, too wild. They never programmed their systems for anything like us. Sat in silence for a long time, then he spoke. Even if this is true, what can we do with it? We are still locked in here. We are still prisoners. Looked at him, not for long. Every night after that taught the others. She told them about engineering, about how machines worked, about electricity and circuits and codes. She told them about Earth's history too, stories of people who had been trapped and found ways to escape, stories of armies that had won against impossible enemies, stories of humans who refused to give up. Listened with bright eyes. I was a soldier once, he said. I thought those days were over, but maybe I was wrong. Listened too. She was young, but she was smart. She remembered everything taught her. Even began to change. The bitterness in his eyes slowly faded. Something else took its place, something that looked like hope. You really think we can do this? He asked one night. Looked at him. Humans have done impossible things before, she said. We have walked on the moon, we have cured diseases, we have survived everything the universe threw at us. She smiled. What is one more impossible thing? Almost laughed. It was the first time she had heard him laugh. The days continued, kept playing the obedient prisoner. She bowed, she said the words, she kept her head down. But every night she practiced. She learned to control her emotions, to focus them, to aim them like a weapon. And slowly, the other humans began to believe. They were not prisoners anymore. They were soldiers, they were survivors, they were human. And soon, they would learn what that truly meant. It happened on a cold morning. The kind of morning where the air in the station felt heavier than usual. Knew something was wrong before she even opened her eyes. The door to their cell opened with a loud crash. 4 guards stepped inside. Their faces were hard. Their hands held weapons. Prisoner 71152, one of them said, come with us. His blood went cold. That was number. Was sitting on her bed. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. She looked like a small animal caught in a trap. What is this about? Asked. He stood up slowly, putting himself between the guards and... The lead guard pushed him aside. The girl was caught stealing rations. She took food from the supply room and gave it to sick prisoners in Block 7A. Stepped forward. She is just a child. She was trying to help people who were dying. The guard looked at him with empty eyes. The law is the law. Theft is punishable by. The word hung in the air like poison. Everyone in the prison knew what that meant. It was a machine that sent waves of pain through your brain. It was supposed to erase bad behavior, but what it really erased was you. Your memories, your personality, your soul. People who went through came back as empty shells. They could walk and talk, but there was nothing left inside them. Started to cry. "I am sorry," she said. "I just wanted to help. They were so hungry. Please, please do not take me." The guards did not care. One of them grabbed her arm and started to pull her toward the door. Something inside broke. "Wait," she said. Her voice was calm, too calm. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. "Take me instead." The guards stopped. They looked at each other, then they looked at her. "What did you say?" the lead guard asked. Stepped forward. "I said take me instead. The girl did not steal anything. I did. I told her to take the food. I planned everything. She was just following my orders." Shook her head, tears were running down her face. "No, no, that is not true." Looked at her and smiled softly. "It is okay. It is going to be okay." The guards seemed confused. They talked to each other in low voices. Finally, the lead guard spoke into a small device on his wrist. After a moment, a voice came back. It was Warden. "Interesting," the voice said. "The Earthborn wants to sacrifice herself for another. Bring her to me. I want to see this for myself." They took away. She did not look back. She could hear crying behind her. She could hear shouting. She could hear calling her name, but she kept walking. Warden was waiting in a dark room. He sat in a large chair, watching her with those black eyes. Behind him was a machine. It was made of metal and glass, with wires and tubes running in all directions. Lights blinked on its surface. It hummed with a low, terrible sound. The chair. "You are a strange creature," said. "In my 300 years I have never seen a human do what you just did. You gave yourself to save another. Why?" Looked at him. "You would not understand." Laughed. "No, I would not. Self-sacrifice makes no logical sense. The individual should always protect itself. That is the natural law." "Maybe your natural law," said, "not ours." Stood up, he walked around her slowly like a predator circling its prey. "I wonder what will happen when we recalibrate you. Will you still be so brave? Will you still care about that little girl?" He smiled coldly. "Let us find out." The guard strapped into the chair. Cold metal pressed against her wrists and ankles. They put a device on her head. It was heavy and tight. Pressed a button. Pain exploded through his body. It was like fire and ice at the same time. Like her brain was being torn apart and put back together wrong. She could hear herself screaming, but the sound seemed far away. Images flashed through her mind. Her grandmother's face, her mother's voice, the smell of rain on earth, the feeling of grass under her feet, everything she loved, everything she was. The machine was trying to erase it all, but did not let go. She held on to each memory like a drowning person holds onto a rope. She fought against the pain. She pushed back. And something strange happened. The pain was still there, but somewhere in the middle of it found something else. She found the rhythm of the machine, the pattern of the waves, the language of the code. The machine was talking, and she was starting to understand. For 3 days they kept her in the chair. 3 days of pain, 3 days of fighting, 3 days of learning. They did not know what they had done. They thought they were breaking her, but they were teaching her instead. Every wave of pain showed her more about how their technology worked. Every second in the machine gave her more information. Human brains were not like brains. Brains were fixed. They did not change, but human brains were flexible. They could adapt. They could rewire themselves. They could turn pain into knowledge. On the 3rd day, they released her. 2 guards dragged her back to cell 7C and threw her inside. Rushed to her side. "Can you hear me?" Was crying again. "I am so sorry. This is my fault. This is all my fault." Knelt beside her. His old face was full of worry. "Speak to us, child. Are you still there?" Opened her eyes. For a moment she just looked at them. Then she smiled. "I am still here," she said. Her voice was weak, but it was steady. And I understand now. Helped her sit up, understand what? Took a deep breath. Everything, their systems, their codes, their weaknesses. She looked at each of them. They tried to break me, but they gave me the keys instead. Eyes widened. You can access their technology. Nodded slowly. The machine is connected to every system on this station. Security, power, communications, doors. She coughed and wiped blood from her lip. They built their machines to erase minds, but my mind did not erase. It learned. The room was silent, then spoke. What do we do now? Looked toward the door. Beyond it was the hallway. Beyond that was the whole station. Thousands of, hundreds of human prisoners, one dying star. We do not escape, she said. Escaping is not enough. If we run, they will catch others. They will bring more humans here, more children like. Her eyes grew hard. We end this, all of it. We burn this place to the ground. Stared at her, then slowly he nodded. Tell us what you need, he said. Closed her eyes. Time and faith. She opened them again. Can you give me that? Put his hand on her shoulder, took her hand, nodded. We are with you, said, until the end. Smiled, the pain was still there. Her body was still broken, but her spirit was stronger than ever. They had tried to destroy her. Instead, they had created something they could never understand. They had created a weapon. And soon, that weapon would turn against them. The plan took 7 days to prepare. 7 days of whispers. 7 days of secrets passed from cell to cell. 7 days of hope spreading like fire through dry grass. Could not leave her cell. Her body was still healing from but she did not need to move. She had something better. She had people who believed in her. Became her messenger. Every day during the integration sessions, he found ways to speak with prisoners from other blocks. He told them about the plan. He told them that the day was coming. Organized the fighters. There were other soldiers among the prisoners, men and women who had once served in Earth's military. They had been broken by years of captivity, but reminded them who they were. He reminded them what they were capable of. Help too. She was small enough to move through the ventilation shafts. She carried messages to places no one else could reach. The guards never suspected her. They thought she was just a scared little girl. They were wrong. On the 7th night, gathered her team in the cell and sat around her, but they were not alone this time. 6 other prisoners had joined them, leaders from other blocks, people who had decided to fight. Tomorrow is the day, said. Her voice was soft but steady. At midday during the integration session we begin. She looked at each face in the dim light. Mean you, and you will lead the prisoners in blocks A and B when the alarms start. Break down the cell doors. The locks will be open. Get everyone into the main corridor. 2 of the prisoners nodded. Their eyes were serious. And you will handle the power systems. There is a junction box in the maintenance tunnel under Block D. When I give the signal, cut the backup generators. The emergency lights will fail. The guards will be blind. 2 more nods. You will lead a team to the control room. Once the power is down, the guards there will be confused. Take the room. Hold it. Do not let anyone send a message to the command ship. His jaw was tight. I understand. You have the most important job. Protect the children. There are 42 prisoners under the age of 15 in Block C when the fighting starts. Take them to the South Docking Bay. Keep them safe. No matter what happens, keep them safe. Put his hand over his heart. On my life. Finally looked at. And you stay with, do you understand? Stay close to him. Nodded, but there was something in her eyes. Something that was not fear anymore. It was determination. What about you? Asked. What will you do? Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had made peace with what was coming. I will walk into Warden's office, she said, and I will shut down this entire station. The room went silent. That is suicide, said. His office is in the command section. There are 50 guards between here and there. 47, corrected, and they will not stop me. How can you be sure? Held up her hand. Because I do not need weapons, I do not need strength, I have something they cannot fight. She closed her hand into a fist. I have 300 years of human emotion, and their machines have no idea what that means. The next day came. The integration session began like always. Hundreds of prisoners sat on metal benches while officers lectured them about obedience and submission. But today was different. Today the prisoners were not listening. They were waiting. At exactly noon, stood up from her bench. The officer at the front stopped talking. Guards turned to look at her. Every eye in the room focused on the small human girl who had dared to move without permission. Sit down, the officer commanded. Sit down now. Did not sit, she walked forward. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. The guards raised their weapons. And then stopped. She closed her eyes, she thought about everything, her grandmother's smile, her mother's tears when she was taken, the cold metal of the ship, the darkness of her cells, fear, anger, sadness. She thought about Earth, the blue sky, the green forests, the vast oceans, everything that would never understand. She let herself feel it all, every emotion, every memory, every hope and dream and fear. And she pushed it outward. The effect was immediate. Every panel in the room flickered. The lights flashed from blue to red to colors that had no name. Screens glitched. Alarms started to scream. The guards' weapons sparked and died in their hands. The prisoners did not wait. They rose from their benches like a wave, Menu and led their groups toward the cell blocks, and ran for the maintenance tunnels, gathered the children and moved toward the south docking bay. Looked at one last time. Do not die, he said. Then he ran toward the control room with his team. Walked forward alone. The guards tried to stop her, but their weapons did not work. Their communications did not work. Nothing worked. The entire station was drowning in emotional feedback that their systems could not process. She walked through corridor after corridor, past guards who stared at her in confusion, past prisoners who shouted her name, past flames and smoke and chaos. Finally, she reached the command section, Warden's office. The door was locked with the highest security, but when touched it, the lock screamed and died. The door slid open. Was inside. He stood behind his desk with a weapon in his hand. Unlike the other weapons, this one was old, mechanical. It did not rely on the station's systems. You, he said, his voice was full of rage. You did this. Walked toward him, yes. He fired, the shot hit her shoulder. Pain exploded through her body. She stumbled but did not fall. Why will you not die? Screamed. He fired again. The shot hit her leg. She fell to one knee. Blood was running down her arm, down her leg. She could feel her body failing, but she forced herself to stand. Because I am human, she said, and humans do not know how to quit. She placed her hand on the central console. This was the heart of the station. Every system, every door, every function, all connected to this one machine. She thought about all the prisoners who had died here, all the humans who had been erased, all the children who had cried themselves to sleep. She let herself feel the full weight of that loss, and then she turned that grief into fire. The console exploded with light. Alarms screamed louder. The entire station shook. Every door in the facility unlocked at once. Every cell opened. Every cage was set free. Tried to fire again but was faster. She grabbed his arm and pushed him backward. He fell into the chair, the same chair where they had tortured her. With the last of her strength, she activated the machine. You wanted to erase us, she said. Now you can feel what that is like. Screamed as the machine turned on. The same pain he had given to so many others was now his own. Did not stay to watch. She turned and walked out of the room. Behind her, the station was falling apart, but ahead of her, 300 humans were running toward freedom. and she was going to make sure they got there. The main corridor was filled with smoke and fire. Red lights flashed on the walls. The sound of alarms was everywhere. But through the chaos, humans moved with purpose. They ran toward the docking bays. They carried the wounded. They helped the weak. 300 prisoners. 300 souls who had been told they were nothing. Now they were fighting for their lives. Walked through the crowd. Her shoulder was bleeding. Her leg could barely hold her weight. Every step sent pain through her body, but she did not stop. She could not stop. Found her near Block D. His face was covered in dirt and blood, but he was alive. "The control room is ours," he said. "We blocked all communications to the command ship. They do not know what is happening here." Nodded. "Good. Where is?" "South Docking Bay. He has the children. They are safe." She let out a breath she did not know she was holding. "Then we keep moving." They reached the main gates together. This was the final barrier between the prison blocks and the docking bays. Beyond these gates was freedom. But the gates were not empty. 50 soldiers stood in formation. They wore heavy armor. They carried weapons that did not depend on the station systems. And in front of them stood a tall female officer with silver marks on her uniform. Commander, the officer who ran the entire facility. The one who had never lost a prisoner. The one who had watched from the command ship while did the dirty work. "Stop," commanded. Her voice was cold and sharp like ice. "You will go no further." Behind the human prisoners gathered. Men, women, children, old and young, wounded and strong. They stood together, waiting to see what would happen. Stepped forward. She was small and broken and covered in blood, but she walked like a queen. "Let us pass," she said. Looked at her with disgust. "You destroyed my station. You killed my officers, and you expect me to simply let you go." "I expect nothing from you," said. "I am not asking, I am telling." Laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. "You are one injured human. I have 50 armed soldiers. What do you think you can do?" Looked at her. Then she looked at the soldiers. They were trained. They were armed. They were powerful, but she saw something in their eyes, something they could not hide. Fear. They had watched their technology fail. They had watched their prison fall. They had watched 300 weak, primitive humans rise up and burn everything around them. And now they were scared. "You studied us," said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "For centuries you watched Earth. You measured our bones, you tested our blood, you calculated our strength, and you decided we were weak." She took another step forward. The soldiers shifted nervously. "But you made a mistake. You measured the wrong things." She pointed at her own chest. "You did not measure this. The human heart. The thing that keeps us going when our bodies fail. The thing that makes us stand up when we are knocked down. The thing that makes a mother lift a car to save her child. The thing that makes a soldier run into fire to save a stranger." She spread her arms wide. "You cannot measure courage. You cannot calculate hope. You cannot quantify love." Her voice grew stronger. "That is why you will never beat us. Not in 1,000 years. Not in 1,000,000 years. Because we have something you will never understand. We have each other." Behind her the humans stood taller. They were wounded and tired and afraid. But they were together, and that made them strong. Stared at her. For a long moment no one moved. No one spoke. Then turned her back on the soldiers. She turned her back on their weapons. She simply turned around and started walking toward the docking bay. "Follow me," she said. And 300 humans followed her. Walked beside her. His hands were shaking. "She is going to order them to fire," he whispered. "They are going to kill us all." Did not look back. "Maybe. Are you not afraid?" She was quiet for a moment. "I am terrified," she said, "but I would rather die walking toward freedom than live another day on my knees." They walked 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. Behind them raised her hand. The soldiers lifted their weapons. One word from her, and the massacre would begin. But the word did not come. lowered her hand. The soldiers watched in silence as 300 humans walked past them, men carrying wounded friends, women holding children, old people supporting each other, all of them walking, none of them looking back. When the last human passed through the gates, finally spoke. "What are you doing?" one of her officers asked. "Why did you not give the order?" Did not answer at first. She just watched the humans disappear into the docking bay. "I have fought many species," she said finally. "I have conquered worlds, I have crushed rebellions." She shook her head slowly. "But I have never seen anything like that. That girl was dying. She could barely stand. And she walked toward 50 armed soldiers without fear." She turned to her officer. Her face was pale. "What would it take to break a species like that? What would it cost to truly defeat them?" She looked back at the empty corridor. "I do not want to find out." In the docking bay had prepared the transport ships. They were old vessels, but they would fly. The children were already inside, stood at the door waiting. When she saw, she ran to her. She threw her arms around her and held on tight. "You came back," said. "I was so scared I thought you were gone." Hugged her gently. "I told you it would be okay." And helped her onto the ship. The other humans followed. 300 people crowded into vessels that were meant for half that number, but no one complained. They were together. They were alive. They were free. The ships lifted off one by one. Through the windows, the prisoners watched Detention Block 7 grow smaller. Sat near a window. Her wounds had been wrapped with torn cloth. The pain was still there, but it did not matter anymore. Sat down beside her. "You did it," he said. "You actually did it." "We did it," corrected, "all of us." Behind them, the station began to glow. The core overload that had triggered was reaching critical. In minutes, the entire facility would be gone. The explosion was silent in space. A bloom of white light that lasted only seconds. Then there was nothing left, just empty darkness where the prison used to be. Pressed her face against the window. "It is gone," she whispered. Nodded. "Yes, it is gone." Came to stand beside them. "Where do we go now?" he asked. "Earth is far away. We do not even know if we can find it." Looked at the stars. So many of them, so bright and cold and distant. "We will find it," she said. "We will find our way home." She thought about everything they had survived. The prison, the torture, the fear, and she thought about everything that was waiting for them. The journey, the danger, the unknown. But she also thought about the people around her. The 300 humans who had fought together, who had walked out of that prison together, who would face whatever came next together. She smiled. "That is what humans do," she said softly. "We survive, we adapt, we keep going no matter what." Far away, on the command ship, Commander sat alone in her quarters. She was writing a report to the Galactic Council. Her hand paused over the screen. Finally, she wrote, "Detention Block 7 has been destroyed, all personnel lost, the Earthborn prisoners have escaped. Recommendation for humanity, reclassify immediately. They are not a lesser species, they are not primitive, they are not weak. They are something we have never encountered before. They are survivors, and they are far more dangerous than we ever imagined." She sent the report. Then she looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, a small ship was flying toward a blue planet called Earth. And inside that ship, 300 humans were dreaming of home. They had tried to cage them, to break them, to erase them. But they had walked out anyway. And they had left nothing behind but fire.